all, I'd like to welcome Bina Ramani here. This is her very first trip to Pakistan. We're very happy to have her here. I guess especially me, I've known her for the last 35 years through the trials and tribulations and no change in Bina, in her personality. But I'm going to basically start talking about the major thing in her life and something that she's been famous for, infamous for, I don't know what to say, but the Jessica Lal case. So, should we start talking about that first? It is, a major subject in your book, so we should start with that.
Made a big curve in my life. And most of you heard about India's famous Jessica Lal murder case. You all heard about it, most of you have. Okay, so that happened about 14 years ago. And it remains high in everyone's memory. Everyone means from the media to the politicians down to the masses for lasting the longest in its several twists and turns and derailments through the trial and through the political conspiracies that came to play to cover up for the criminal himself, the murderer. And to save the murderer, who was then the son of a Congress president, and his uncle was the president of India at the same time. So it was about the most powerful position he could have had at the time, about 26 years old, and walked into a party we were having at our place. Ours was the first shopping mall, so to speak, in India, built into a very beautiful old colonial building, and it had a very successful restaurant, probably Delhi's most successful restaurant, and 11 high-end, beautiful boutiques.
Did you not sort of pioneer the whole process?
I pioneered. It was a, yes.
In the sense that you took a village,
yes,
and you got involved with the villagers, and that was inspirational for you, and then you sort of commercialized it because that was your Lalwani background, coming from a huge business background. She had, in any case, I think, to put you in context, I'd like to say that you had it all, you led a very comfortable life, and but you had a mind of your own. You were that tree on the banyan tree, and you took a flight, and you soared really high, because you wanted life at your terms. You wanted, when you soared so high, you're almost touching the spiritual. So I would like to say why this kind of thing would happen to a person like her, and why she would react the way she reacts, and why there were no second thoughts about being the only witness where 9 of them were disappeared suddenly, and what a difficult period she went through. And there was never ever a doubt about what she would do and the risks she took. So I think...
Okay, there were about 6 or 7 first-hand witnesses who saw this murder happen. And the girl who got shot was Jessica Lal, who was a popular, good, beautiful model who happened to be there. These boys came in, they were all political sons who demanded a drink. The party had ended. She said that she was the celebrity bartender. It had all closed down, as a matter of fact. My daughter was there too. And they said, no, there is no drink available. And they just decided to, typically, in the manner which sons of politicians do, carry guns around to show off. And he just pulled out a gun and shot her. Okay, we won't go to that, you'll read that in the book. What happened is everybody ran for their own lives, because suddenly they figured there's a gunman, a girl has been shot, there were maybe 40, 50 guests left, and they all ran. I reached out to stop him because I heard I in fact didn't actually see him with my own eyes shoot the gun, because he was just behind a pillar. And I saw Jessica fall, and he comes from behind the pillar, and everyone there pointed and said, he killed Jessica, he shot her. So I stopped him. I just entered from the door and blocked his way, all the others left, and challenged him. It was long enough, 2 long minutes of confrontation, which went on to play the role of witness that they tried to demolish in every which way they means the entire political system that ruled at the time. including the law minister, the chief of police, the home secretary, everybody was involved in that, to demolish me, because by now they had bought out all the other witnesses. This took several years, in which period they gave us terrible threats. They carried out the threats. They had our building shut down. They wanted to deport us. We had foreign passports, and everything that would go wrong went wrong.
Did you actually see him with the gun?
I didn't actually see him pull the trigger.
No.
But I saw him put the gun in his pocket.
And then did you confront
I confronted him, and when he kept saying, no, I didn't do it, I said, I know you did. Everybody saw you. You just came from here, and that's where she got shot. It wasn't me. I said, who are you? He wouldn't tell his name, and it was just he was. And then at some point, I did think that I know he has a gun. What if he decides to shoot me? And it was it was adrenaline flowing. It can happen to any of you, and it's something I will tell you is when you are faced with such a dire situation in life, be it murder or theft or whatever, the thought that came into, no one is prepared for it, and what came to my mind, and I'm a person of the moment, was to either intimidate him or he was going to intimidate me. One of us had to win this. And I was older, I was a little bit taller than him, but he had the weapon. And at some point when I'm asking him, who are you? And I'm stopping, and he's trying to do a sidestep from me so he can run out behind me. And then I thought he could do this in a minute. So I just at some point said, okay, I know you put your gun in the pocket, I want the gun. I just tried that bluff. It wasn't the real, I knew it was there. And hoping that he wouldn't use it because he was going to lie about that too, and he did. He said, no, I don't have it. I said, I know you do. And that sort of gave me safety, because once he lied, he doesn't have it, he wasn't going to use it. But it was very quick thinking that saved me. But with that truth, I fought 7 years to try to, they wanted me to forget it, and I wouldn't. And after carrying out every threat, including shooting me in the car from behind, but I lived through that. They threw me in jail to then ruin my reputation.
How you got into Sehyr jail? For just because you were taken to court in order to give your
testimony, yes.
And then what happened?
My statement was recorded with the actual truth, but they decided to muddy it. Well, it's actually long. It's a long story. It went on for 7 years. For the first 3 years, the trial was on, in which my family and I, all had a role to play. Mine was the most important. This was all the original testimony was all recorded, ours and the other witnesses. But those boys, not only the one main son who did it, but the others that came with them were also powerful politicians' sons. They decided they were going to win. How can powerful and rich people lose? So they bought out the other witnesses, tried to demolish us. In the end, they took the case quietly to a small court, to a judge that was paid off, and he just acquitted the boys. And we all read in the paper one day, on the 6th year of it happening. And we had the dark shadow over us those 6 years. We lived in fear. We'd been brought down to the bottom. But we were acutely aware of the goings-on of every criminal case. There were all kinds of things happening that you noticed, but it was hard to accept that ours was the only one just dragging on, and our names were being tossed around. You couldn't say anything nice about Bina Ramani because you'd be thrown out of you had to agree that she was evil. But for what? Nobody knew, Anyhow, but they had built that story. When the boys were let out and acquitted, quietly, it made a little statement in the papers, but the masses somehow caught on, and by the 48 hours, the news went viral, and SMSs started to go out, and the hotline, the SMS that somebody coined, which happened to be Tarun Tejpal, the journalist, he just came up with very good one-liners, and he sent out, nobody killed Jessica Lal, and he said, forward this. And that went viral, and about 1 million SMSs went out during the weekend, and the president took a call and said, we are going to retry this. And that gave me hope, but that also gave me fear, because in the next following days, the team that was formed, the president said we'd have a special SIT team, special investigation team, with the highest of the high policing and investigation, so on. But everyone they picked there, now we were acutely aware of names and people in government, they picked the worst lot. Those who were the actual conspirators against us now control the SIT. And within the first 3 days, they would send out tickets, and at the time, news was being bought. You were paying news. Every TV channel, and TV channels had just come into being, our news channels in English. So it was breaking news. The Ramanis have been put on a lookout notice. They cannot leave the country. And we were the witnesses. But they decided a strategy where they would make us look like criminals, but not explain why. Just to create a dark cloud over us, our reputation, because our original testimony was to be counted. There was not to be a retrial, but reinvestigation and study the actual original testimonies, which we were the only ones who didn't get bought out, so our testimonies still remained. And so thereon came the worst time in my life, in our lives, when they hounded me out, and my testimony was the only one that the judge would have had to rely on. It was to be in October, but from March onwards, 6 months earlier, I got hounded in every possible way. And terrible headlines against me, lies, and horrible things. And that's when my car got shot at. I'm sitting behind me, but we got saved, my husband and I, and notices from everywhere. By the time September came along, they had hounded me down where now they had taken out an arrest warrant against me. They had cooked up a case of forgery, because from British times, they've dug out that as one of the simplest laws, it's never been changed and nobody ever has been charged for forgery. But by British law, if you are caught for forgery, you get jailed without bail. It's a non-bailable warrant with which they arrest you. So they've dug that up and decided somehow it's the only chance of getting me. And they built that up in a false case. And without a trial, they suddenly, called me for investigation. And next thing I know, I was in custody for a total of 10 days, 10 nights. And out of that 7 nights,
the police station.
Police station was 7 nights. And it was pure hell. That was the worst. I was just cut off from the world in a tiny cell and got out in the daytime in the custody of the police and so on, and by night was back there again. And from there, on the 7th day, when they would bring me to court every day for a fake hearing, because the magistrate had all the answers. There was no point trying to put our case forward. The 7th day, as I was getting ready to be freed, they then put extra charges and threw me in Bihar jail, our most notorious jail. And that's where my book starts. That's when I start to write the book. And it was the greatest shock in my life. That, as a human, when you're born, a human aspires to do great things in life. And in one cycle of life, one falls a few times. But the worst thing one can ever think of in a human's worst moment is say, oh gosh, what's the worst thing that can happen to me? Could I lose a limb in an accident? Could I lose my child? The worst thing is really to think that you will go to jail in a lifetime. And it was the worst thing in my head. So that's the moment I go through when I'm suddenly bundled off and put in that cooling area before they take the prisoners to jail. And lots of reflection happened there. My life changed from that moment on. And I just felt this was a calling I had to go through. It was meant to be part of this birth of mine.
And it could not break you. You had your inner strength.
Absolutely.
Right through, because
that was one thing.
Right through, you had a very difficult time.
True.
Many ups and downs, huge downs, descents, and you have had some nights also. But having said that, but right through life, you've always been very optimistic. You've always had that inner energy. And
I think having one's integrity is
natural
very
about you, and it's your kind of person who can go through this and come out quite fine in a certain way. And of course you won because you got him behind bars. That is what's...
Not only did when I came out, in fact for the first time, India, which had totally misjudged me and believed all the negative headlines that had been created against me, the first time they realized she's supposed to be the witness, and they put her in jail. There's much more to it than what we are getting. I think they began to think for the first time. And not only did that come about, and the case went to High Court, and the judge declared me the star witness and gave him life imprisonment. Within the next 6 months, to me, which is the feather in my cap, I feel, thank God that I went through that and fought for it, to see that justice come in this case. 3 other important cases that had happened in that period, where in each case either a policeman had raped and killed a girl, or a government officer had chopped her up and put her into a tandoor. There were the famous cases that were going on, but they'd been buried and the men had gone free. Suddenly, they were all recalled, and all those 3 criminals were given life imprisonment. One was given 98. So you see, that was the best result.
But tell me, did you not have doubts when you were threatened with your daughter being acid being thrown on her face, or
those were the threats that would come.
You got these threats, I know that.
Yes, you get offers of bribe alongside these threats.
You should, sort of get out of it, or somehow save yourself. Like
No, we had good friends who come to us. In fact, friends that, when you always have 1 or 2 really close friends in your family. It was friends like that who would come to us and say, Nafisa, I'm saying this is Tavleen, who's a hotshot journalist, you might know Tavleen Singh, comes to Pakistan. She came and said, are you nuts? You know what they're talking about, they're going to do to you? Just take the money and forget it. It'll be yesterday's headline and you carry on with your life. I said, Tavleen, I'm going to quote you one day. Are you telling me that I should tell a lie and forget? I cannot, And it was like this, we had many. Chandigarh, we used to consider them as Chandigarh because he was a minister in Chandigarh, the father of the boy. Chandigarh is going to make you so rich. Come on, don't be silly, that sort of thing. And
no, but should we go to your life now? You've written this beautiful book. I think it is really a story about every woman who has gone through what you've gone through, more or less. It resonates the life and the problems women go through. I wouldn't say only in the subcontinent, I would say universal. So, but once you sort of read the book, you realize, you understand what kind of person she is. She's a very, very strong person. Having had everything and had a luxurious life, she broke away and she wanted to be a free spirit. And she did exactly what the opposite of where she was, like just going and marrying a rich man and being happy ever after.
She did not. One of my sisters, I have 3 sisters who are all wonderful housewives, have a great home, husband, children, grandchildren, and they do all the things the housewives do. They pick cards and lunches and dinners and so on. I was to be part of that. I was brought up in that. I was the last of 12 children, of which 9 lived. And, but I just had different dreams. Grew up as a second-generation child, and there was a rebel inside me that could never stand up to my father and question whatever plans he had for us. So I nurtured these dreams inside, knowing that one day, like a bird, I will fly away. And I titled my book "Bird in a Banyan Tree." And the banyan tree was my mother. My family was solidly grounded and had these traditional dreams to continue for generations. And so I did end up being that bird, and the bird every once in a while takes flight and the wings get clipped and falls and starts again, and I am that bird. And I think what...
And yet your family ties are very,
very strong, and the foundations
are also, very grounded, or rather your roots are strong, so you are in a way very influenced in that sense. You're very sensitive about your family and everything they stand for. And on the other hand, you have this rebellion. How isn't this very conflicting?
There are contrasts. Yes, the one is sort of I value tradition. I feel very solid, like a pillar, because of the traditional background I come from, and it started in Karachi where I was born. I'm thrilled to be in Pakistan. It's my 2nd day here. That tradition, moving on to the dreams that I weaved from age 9 or 10, as soon as I could dream and articulate, I just knew that I was going to follow my own path. But yet I had to to go through, not let down the family. Large family always watching over me because they knew what Bina was. I think they spent more time worrying about me than leading their own happy lives. But to this day, it goes on. I think what happened to me is the child that I live with my own child, and that saw me through the harshest times. There's a playfulness that you can escape in your hardest of times and play with, and know that you have your integrity with you, and it kind of forms your character to be able to deal with, the harsh truths of life that everyone goes through. There's not other human harshness, there's nature that's playing havoc in one's life. I think if you have that foundation of your conviction and tradition, and you have that child and freedom, that child allows you a spirit of freedom. That's how I feel about it. And I think a spirit of generosity is also a big thing which my mother had, and we all imbibed that. I feel very fortunate about that. So that you don't allow anything negative to stick on you. Just feel generous and say, oh, let it pass. I'm much more than that. You stand out, and at least when I wrote the book, I was able to step out of the box and see myself and be able to articulate what I was. We don't usually watch every move we make in our lives. Most of us don't, at least. Didn't fall in.
We just have a few minutes. Yes, we have to.
We should have a question.
But I would like to just say that is not where it begins and ends. Because when you came to India from New York after a long time, you just sort of fell in love with the old textiles, and you started this whole concept of bringing the old textiles into modern fashion. And you sort of stuck with that till now. You've played a huge role in fashion, but it's very individual, it's very you, which gives you your presence, your great personality, and your own style. You've done that, and then of course, because you come from, I think, a family, a business, a heavy, huge business family, you have done wonders with real estate. She's the one who sort of, what should I say, gave birth to Hoskas village. So if you've been to Delhi, or to Colonnade, where you have the Minar. So she's the first one who went just to the outskirts of Delhi then, where there are villages, they still are. But she's the one who was the pioneer. So whatever she's done pioneering work. She had, when you read the book, you just won't be able to put it down, I can tell you that, for a minute. It's amazing, it is available, right?
Yes, it's available. Till ball number 2, and I'll be there inscribing for all of you to come there after this.
And I think, yes, I think we have a few minutes for
I just want to say, since you mentioned Hoskas village, the first moment I arrived here, my eyes were set on my 2 young friends behind in the second row, the Sikh gentlemen, Mahajit and Nalan. They were among the first 5 to be brave enough to take a shop in my Hoskas village when it was only a village, and I was being browbeaten by everybody, and women would come and say, you're ruining the village way of thinking, and you've come from abroad, and you go back there, and you're spoiling the system. And I said, I'm trying to integrate, there were untouchables, and there were all kinds there. I said, I can urbanize it and, make it a win-win for everybody. There were no designers, we didn't have design school at the time. So they were among the first wonderful, creative visionaries. They were here, and they are still the best shop. 30 years later, when there are now 120 odd shops in Hoskas village, it's the #1 destination, and they rule. They are the princes from Hoskas village. I'm thrilled that you are here today.
Would you like to ask a question?
Bina, can you tell us something about the social work you do for women? Because I'm sure you're too modest about it. Please.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed. I'm aware that there's a whole other social parallel that goes on in many different layers, and I feel drawn to that. So from the time I moved back to India after being abroad for 28 years, I started to work with orphans, and then women, battered women, daughters-in-law who've been burnt, things like that. One led to the other. And then AIDS, when Richard Gere came to India, together with him, I did the first AIDS awareness project, which thank God for him. It was a huge stigma to use the word AIDS, but we opened it up and we got Bollywood involved in that, and we had huge success. Stories of AIDS, we managed to cut it down in large numbers. Now I work with victims of rape and the families of the little girls. And it's another big social problem that needs a lot of deep layers of thinking. We are struggling constantly with our social structure of so many layers and the caste systems and things like that. So I brought a group that works with them. We'll go with them to court or visit them in the hospital, give talks to the villagers and figure out ways where we can, we're all trying to find the magic way to put an end to this and to that. That's what I do now. Immediately there's a rape victim, we hear about it and we go and reach out.
It's such a shame because I think we all have, would like to talk some more, but I think we have to speak us for the next one question.
Is there one question we can take? Anybody want to ask me?
Have you been harmed by the politicians?
No, I think they fear me now. Yeah. I say, like, at the moment they jail somebody, it's a political conspiracy, they jail a journalist for something small he may have done, they've proven it, but they are hounding him almost like they did to me, and I've been the only one to speak out about it. And I got lots of people saying, are you nuts, you know what they'll do to you? I said, no, now they can't. I feel fearless about it. That's one of the things.
I think she's a bit of a malam. I don't know if she knows what it means. To me, she's always struck me as her own person, always very natural. She's been like this all her life. So something like this would happen to her, you know that she'll get out of it on top, and it will not scar her in any way.